Have you ever had the experience of knowing exactly what you want, but then you immediately started questioning yourself? Maybe you had a feeling about a relationship or a boundary you wanted to set. Maybe you had something you needed to say or a desire you were beginning to recognize. But then almost immediately, another voice showed up and you started asking, am I overreacting? Am I being selfish? What if I make the wrong decision? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Today I want to talk about self-trust, what it actually means, why so many of us lose connection with it, and how we can begin rebuilding it. Learning to trust yourself can change not only the decisions you make, it can change the relationship you have with yourself, and ultimately the relationships you create with other people. In the last video, we talked about core desires, the deeper experiences we long for in our lives and relationships. But recognizing what you want is only part of the process. You also have to believe that what you feel, want, and need is worth listening to. And that's where self-trust comes in. You might recognize a desire for more affection, more freedom, more emotional connection, more sexual intimacy, or simply more space. But then you immediately question it and ask yourself, should I want that? Is that reasonable? Is that too much? What will someone else think? Sometimes we become so accustomed to looking outside ourselves for answers that we stop trusting the information coming from within us. When I talk about self-trust, I don't mean believing that you're always right, because none of us are. And self-trust doesn't mean acting on every feeling, impulse, or desire that comes up. To me, self-trust means something much simpler. It's trusting yourself enough to listen to what you are experiencing and acknowledging what you want and need. Self-trust isn't certainty. It's knowing that even when you're uncertain, you won't abandon yourself. Most of us didn't simply wake up one morning and decide to stop trusting ourselves. It usually happens gradually. Maybe you grew up learning that other people's needs came first. Maybe expressing what you wanted created conflict. Maybe someone repeatedly questioned your feelings or told you that you were too sensitive, too needy, too emotional, or too much. Maybe you made a decision that didn't turn out the way you hoped, and afterward you thought, I should have known better. Or maybe you became very successful by learning to rely on expectations, responsibilities, rules, and what needed to get done. I can relate to the last one. During my military career, there was tremendous value in focusing on the mission, meeting expectations, and taking care of the people around me. Those qualities served me well professionally, but they didn't necessarily teach me to stop and ask, what do I need? What do I want? What feels right for me? And sometimes we don't realize how disconnected we've become from ourselves until we start asking those type of questions. Divorce was one of those life-changing experiences for me. It created a period when I had to look more closely at myself, my relationships, and the life I wanted moving forward. Getting remarried gave me another opportunity, not simply to enter another relationship, but to think more intentionally about how I wanted to show up. Experiences like divorce, the end of a relationship, retirement, changing careers, becoming an empty nester, or beginning a new relationship can shake our sense of identity, but they can also invite some important questions, such as who am I now? What matters to me? What have I learned? And what do I want to carry forward? What do I want to do differently? For me, part of that process has been learning to listen to myself more closely. Not because I suddenly have all the answers, but because I've learned that ignoring myself isn't the answer either. This is where self-trust connects back to embodiment. Self-trust isn't purely intellectual. Your body is constantly giving you information. Maybe you notice tension where you're about to agree to something you don't really want. Maybe you feel yourself pulling away during a conversation. Maybe there's a sense of openness or ease when something feels aligned. Or maybe you notice excitement when you're allowing yourself to acknowledge something you genuinely desire. Those sensations don't automatically tell you what decision to make, but they are information. Instead of immediately overriding them, we can become curious and ask, what am I noticing right now? What might my body be trying to tell me? What happens if I don't immediately dismiss this feeling? That's very different from blindly following every emotion. We're simply learning to listen before deciding. There's another important piece here. Sometimes what feels like intuition may actually be protection. If you've experienced rejection, betrayal, criticism, abandonment, or other painful experiences, your nervous system may become very good at anticipating them. Perhaps someone gets emotionally close to you and something inside says, get out. That feeling is real, but it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is unsafe. It may mean closeness feels unfamiliar or vulnerable. That's why self-trust isn't simply trusting your gut and doing whatever it says. We need to pause and ask, what is happening inside me right now? Am I responding to something that's happening in the moment? Or is this something from my past influencing how I'm experiencing this moment? That curiosity gives us space between what we feel and what we choose. There's another part of self-trust that can be uncomfortable. Sometimes trusting yourself means someone else may not like your decision. You might say no, set a boundary, or express a need. You might acknowledge a desire your partner doesn't share, or you might decide that something that once worked for you no longer does. If your sense of safety has depended on keeping everyone around you happy, that can feel incredibly difficult. But constantly abandoning yourself to avoid disappointment or disappointing someone else has a cost. Healthy relationships don't require us to always agree. They give us enough space and safety to be honest. And sometimes self-trust sounds like, I care about you, but this is still what I need. If you spent years questioning yourself, self-trust probably isn't going to return because you tell yourself to make yourself start trusting. It's built through experience. Start small. The next time you notice yourself automatically looking outside yourself for an answer, pause. Before asking, what should I do? Try asking, what do I think? Before saying yes to something, ask, do I actually want to do this? When you notice an emotion, instead of immediately explaining it away, ask, what might this feeling be telling me? And when you make a decision, notice what happens afterward and reflect. Did you honor yourself? Did you act according to your values? What did you learn? Would you make the same choice again? Over time, those small moments become evidence that you can listen to yourself, make decisions, and change your mind. You can make mistakes and learn from them. You can handle the consequences of your choices. That's how self-trust grows. I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions about self-trust. We sometimes believe we'll trust ourselves once we're confident we'll make the right decision, but that is impossible. There will be relationships that don't work, decisions we reconsider, boundaries we wish we'd established sooner, conversations we wish we had handled differently. Self-trust doesn't come from never making mistakes. It comes from knowing that when something doesn't go as planned, you can stay connected to yourself, learn from the experience, and choose again. So if you've been struggling to trust yourself, I want to leave you with a question. Where in your life do you already know something, but keep asking someone else to give you permission to know it? You don't have to act on that answer immediately. Just notice what comes up. Because rebuilding self-trust often begins with something very simple: listening. Listening to your body, your emotions, your desires, your values, and becoming curious about what they're trying to tell you. The more we learn to listen to ourselves without immediately judging or dismissing, the easier it becomes to make choices that actually reflect who we are. And that's an important part of the embodied intimacy framework. We started by learning how to reconnect with ourselves, our bodies, nervous systems, emotions, attachment patterns, and the experiences that have shaped us. Now we're beginning to ask a different question. What do I truly want and need? Self-trust helps us believe that the answer to the question deserves our attention. In the next video, we'll build on that by talking about boundaries, because it's difficult to communicate and protect what you need if you don't first trust yourself enough to believe that what you need matters. If you'd like to continue exploring the embodied intimacy framework, please subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And if you're exploring your own relationship with self-trust, intimacy, or connection, and you're curious about how coaching might support you, you can learn more or schedule a free 20-minute discovery call through my website at chrishughescoaching.com. I'll see you on the next video.